Teachers, would you like to lead us in some bows to the altar?
Charles, if you would come, and we'll offer incense and then make 3 bows. So go ahead. If you would offer the incense to Munch, who will offer it.
You're hearing it.
Before you speak, do you mind if we get a little closer?
Yeah.
Photo, I'm gonna take your cue here, but is there a way for us to kind of make a circle? Yeah. People come closer, maybe come over here. We're gonna chant together, so it's nice we can hear each other. And as long as you're not right in front of the camera. So where Kiryu is.
So we'll start by chanting the Enmei in English 3 times. So Ash, please lead us in that.
Avalokiteshvara, perceiver of the cries of the world, takes refuge in Buddha, will be a Buddha, helps all to be Buddhas, is not separate from Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, being eternal, intimate, pure, and joyful, in the morning be one with Avalokiteshvara, in the evening be one with Avalokiteshvara, whose heart moment by moment arises, whose heart moment by moment remains. Avalokiteshvara, perceiver of the cries of the world, takes refuge in Buddha, will be a intimate, pure, and joyful, in the morning be one with Avalokiteshvara, in the evening be one with Avalokiteshvara, whose heart moment by moment arises, whose heart moment by moment remains. Avalokiteshvara, receiver of the cries of the world, takes refuge in Buddha, will be a Buddha, helps all to be Buddhas, is not separate from Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, being eternal, intimate, pure, and joyful. In the morning be with Avalokiteshvara, in the evening be one with Avalokiteshvara, whose heart moment by moment arises, whose heart moment by moment remains.
As we gather around this beautiful garden and altar, let us acknowledge that we stand in the past, present, and future homelands of the Tewa people, including the surrounding pueblos of Tesuque, Poake, Nambe, Okeawinge, San Ildefonso, Cochiti, Santa Clara, and Santo Domingo. We acknowledge the history of violence and colonization that has resulted in the dispossession of these lands from their indigenous caretakers. And as a result of this history of colonization, we find ourselves now as guests on this land. May we learn from our past errors and strive to live in greater harmony with the land and with one another. I'd like to just acknowledge the gifts of seeds that have been given to us that have resulted in this flourishing garden, from Roxanne Swensel, from Michael Pollan, from the Santa Clara Pueblo, and from others. The gifts of corn seed that we planted and that will now harvest will be going back to Roxanne and the Santa Clara Pueblo. I'd also like to give a deep acknowledgement and gratitude to Alonso Mendez, to Wendy Johnson, to Ashira, to Henry, to all people who have really helped to take care of this garden, all of the hands that have helped to plant this garden, that have tended to it, and that will now harvest it. And so I'd like to invite us into a moment of silence and prayer, bringing to heart just a deep gratitude for all of the gifts that we have received and that have gone into this garden. Thank you. And I wonder if guiding teachers, if you have anything that you'd like to add to bring into the circle.
it seems fitting that there's the sound of work all around us. We're out in the garden where we've planted seeds and tended to their growth and cultivation for the 2 seasons, since the early spring to the late fall. And this has fed us and keeps us connected to this land. And I really want to acknowledge Wendy Johnson, who we might not realize built the kind of initial garden with the resident body almost 15 years ago, I think, maybe 16 years ago. And it was right over there. And when this building went up, it moved over here during the pandemic. But the soil's been churned and tended to and grown in, and has been the kind of home of the Three Sisters and of all the bugs and birds and so forth of this land for 16 years. It's been the same soil. So just to acknowledge the kind of years and years, the generations of tending that we're bearing witness to today and that we're a part of. And to give thanks to Koshin for every year someone needs to hold the whole of people coming and going, of all of us weeding, of the plants being healthy. And this year Koshin stepped up, and with Ashira and Henry and others, but really thanks to your dedication, has held all of it really beautifully. It's an incredible harvest, and we'll go in after this to see the corn and everything. So thank you, Koshin.
These are the guidelines for the honorable harvest from Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Know the ways of the ones who take care of you, so that you may take care of them. Introduce yourself. Be accountable as the one who comes asking for life. Ask permission before taking. Abide by the answer. Never take the first, never take the last. Take only what you need. Take only that which is given. Never take more than half. Leave some for others. Harvest in a way that minimizes harm. Be respectful. Never waste what you have received. Share. Give thanks for what you have been given. Give a gift in reciprocity for what you have received. Sustain the ones who sustain you, and the earth will last forever.
So we will start with ceremonial harvest of the squash, which is the oldest of the Three Sisters. Then we'll move to the corn, to the beans, and one of the residents will say something for each of the harvests. I will get to say something for the squash. These squash have been very well loved and cared for from the moment they were put in the ground, protected by layers of tulle to keep pests out, and checked almost every day for squash beetles, and just very carefully tended to. These were also the crops that were not on the automatic irrigation, so we had to water them by hand every day. I'd really like to give thanks to the squash beetles, because many gave their lives that we may enjoy the harvest of this squash, and it just really, for me, brought to heart what we chant before every meal. Numberless beings gave their lives and labors that we may eat. And so I feel that in the beetles. Thank you, squash beetles. I feel that in the people who have tended to the squash and cared for, watered, and looked after them. So this squash will mostly stay on the vine since they're still growing, but we will harvest one.
How many types of squash?
We have, I think, 4: buffalo squash down here, Lakota squash, butternut squash, and autumn frost. I think 4. So we'll pass this around.
Oh, we do. Do we want to give thanks for the corn?
Yeah, do you have that one? Just to the left. So as the squash is going around, ask Talia to share a reflection on the corn.
I have not tended to this garden day in and day out as so many here have. Yet this garden has tended to me and innumerable beings that have made their way through it. All shapes of insects and hummingbirds. I've shared meals with these Hopi soup-eyed corn, meals with their upright stalks sheltering me from the mid-afternoon sun. Every so often as the wind would rustle their leaves, sometimes they would speak to me. Even when they were young, these corn were in touch with the wisdom of their ancestors. To feel their tender newborn tassels, and now mature and crispy and ready to crumble in our hands, ready to harvest, ready to continue to share with us their insight and understanding, and ready to be returned to the Santa Clara Pueblos and Roxanne Swensel.
So Talia, would you take a couple ears? And do we want to try to be in the garden, or?
Maybe after people can
Yeah.
wander in.
Yeah,
and see the corn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we harvesting all the squash even it's in the tree?
No, it'll stay on the vines.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't know how mobile our picture takers are, but as we passed around this little squash, I kept looking at this gigantic one that it would be good for people to see that we're not passing around.
Hmm.
We have so many
Some
giant.
big squash. Yeah.
Yeah, the buffalo squash are ginormous. So, Talia's harvested a couple cobs of the Hopi soup-eyed corn, and we'll also pass it around, one in each direction. And Wendy Johnson was here not long ago and brought an ear of corn to Roxanne Swensel. They shared dinner together. and they ate from the corn. They plucked some kernels off the cob and tasted the harvest of corn that we'll be giving back to them. So we will do that together. So as the corn comes around, please feel free to pluck a kernel off and eat it and taste the harvest.
Did you get a kernel? Could we have an extra kernel?
And hopefully they're the soft kernels. Yeah, just pull it back like that.
Oh, they are soft.
Question I'm wondering as the corn goes around, for those who weren't here with us in the spring, if you can remember a word or two about why the corn is tie-dyed.
So, and anybody correct me if I'm getting anything wrong, but this is the hybrid corn that Roxanne has cultivated. It's called Hopi Supai. So it's a blend of Hopi corn and Habu-Supai corn, I believe. One is like flinty hard corn, and another is a sweet soft corn. I'm not sure which one is which. But the starburst pattern is kind of the mix of these two varieties. The yellow being, I think, the more flinty kind of hard corn, and the red being the sweeter soft corn. So the ones that are coming around are the sweeter of the bunch because they're soft kernels. Some of the kernels in here are quite hard. It's like the flintier hard corn.
I might add that Roxanne charged us with planting another corn, which is ceremonial corn, which is pure white. It's really beautiful. And Wendy took one of about a foot long ear of corn to Roxanne, and she was really surprised with how it had turned out. And we will harvest this coming Sunday at our house. We had almost 100% germination. It looks like a small jungle that's now drying out, and similar size to the corn here, but it's a pure white variety that's not eaten, and it's used for ceremony. So we're excited to harvest on Sunday.
So as those two cobs meet, you could bring them forward and we'll put them in baskets and put them at the altar. So Rin, would you mind sharing your reflection before we harvest the beans?
Yeah. Should I?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Mike.
Yeah, I feel so happy to be here and speaking on a plant that I didn't help to plant, but which I love certain varieties of, and I guess I realized how little I knew about beans in reading about it a little bit yesterday and preparing for this little talk that I'm giving. And so, yeah, I'll just share like my reflections in my learnings right now. So, running across this rich high desert, news was spread along with these colorful beans through a collage of cultures and ideas. Now these scarlet runner beans climb up the green ladder of her corn sister's sturdy stalk, reaching for the sun, spreading the news, preaching the Dharma to the 10,000 things. Meanwhile, their roots enrich the soil for the nourishment of her sisters and for the nourishment of all beings, teaching us all about the power of Sangha. Thank you.
So, Ren, yeah, would you harvest the first bean pod for us? And we have a lot of beans. You can put it in the basket. If you'd like.
Should we open it and show it to the people online? Oh, it's white.
It's an albino one.
It's one of the white ones. So, I want to show those who are joining us the
Color.
scarlet colors.
There's some over here.
Yeah.
If you want to take this up, should I take this up to
Oh
the
yeah, we
camera,
have.
maybe?
Yeah, that'd be great.
You got one? Great.
Yeah, I just got this.
Okay.
They're already dead.
Oh wow. He's got one.
Nice.
And we'll all harvest some beans. Okay. So, like I said, we have a lot of beans, and they're the most ready to harvest right now. Some of the corn is going to stay on; it's still a little green. Some of the beans are also a little green, but I'm going to invite us all to harvest a pod of beans. Please walk around the perimeter, walk inside the garden. You can take a pod if the pod is dried out, like it's brown and it's crunchy. If it's a little green, we'll leave it. And I'll also quarantine off a part of the fence which has a different variety that we're going to keep separate from the scarlet runners, which are around the rest of the perimeter. But please enjoy harvesting some beans.
So question, so should we just take 5 minutes and like harvest a bean, maybe walk inside? You can circle the garden, like just to take some time with the garden. And
That
then
sounds great.
We'll come back in 5 minutes.
And you can place the bean in the bean basket when you're done. Place it in the harvest basket.
Which will just be by this
Just in
altar?
front of the altar.
Yeah. That's mostly what I've had.
When they're still green,
I think you would. They were protected for a long time. Pear trees at home.
here, Twiddle. This is the bean before it's dried. My hand model.
Look at that. Beauty. Just the Delta Cliff?
Before they dry, they go from white to this bright pink, and then they turn the purple black.
I thought we'd close here, and I was also thinking it might be nice to end with the 4 vows. So we could offer the incense, maybe the Shinzan, and then chant the 4 vows and then.
Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Back, recess, back.
Thank you.